I'm reading that many of these American companies that have been pushing the war are lining up for the repair of Ukraine, the rebuilding of
Sure.
Ukraine. The very companies that are destroying it and have destroyed it are lining up saying, yeah, we're ready to rebuild Ukraine.
So are the German and the French and the British companies.
They're ready to start rebuilding Ukraine.
Yeah, because they figure the government will pay for it.
Oh my
They'll make
God.
money.
Just no end to the greed and the insanity. You would think in this age of the internet, people would be aware of this. And there is a certain large percentage of the American population, I wouldn't say the majority, that understands Ukraine is a corrupt nation run by a corrupt stooge. And he's not George Washington or Winston Churchill all wrapped up in one little package. But that's not to say that we are supporting Putin. I have to go back to the primary point. But, you could argue that Putin was forced to act against Ukraine. I mean, I've read all of the stories going back to 2014. I know that Zelensky, tell me if I'm mistaken, you're the expert on this. Okay, my narrative in my brain is that Zelensky was a comedian or an entertainer who ran on the platform of peace. He was a peacenik. And the Ukrainians did not want war. He said he would not seek war with Russia. He would not permit NATO to put weapons on the border with Russia. And the Ukrainians loved him because they wanted a peaceful guy to run the country. They didn't want war. Is that more or less how it?
That's exactly right.
Okay, so that's my little narrative. Okay, so the next thing we know is Zelensky suddenly becomes, in his own mind, a combination of Winston Churchill, George Washington, Napoleon, whatever, all in one, wrapped up in one, and he's never
and a
had
great Democrat.
Yeah, and he's never had so much fun in his life. You would think with all that power and money, he'd buy himself a decent suit, but no. The same green undershirt, thinking that he's a combination of Fidel Castro and Che Guevara, which I don't understand. He really ought to get somebody advising him that act isn't playing here anymore. We're tired of him. And, since we're tired of him, are the Ukrainians going to replace him no matter what happens, do you think?
Well, I think he'll be replaced, but I don't think it'll be through democratic process.
That's a loaded statement.
There aren't any elections. They're under martial law. And, you could have elections under martial law, but they won't. They've already passed legislation that says you can't have elections. So the parliament, which is called the Verkhovna Rada, can't be reelected, and the president can't be reelected or elected. So you can't change anything that way. So how can you do it? Someone's going to have to do it like they did in 2014. 2014, they drove Yanukovych, who was the president of Ukraine, out of the country. He's in Russia now.
Oh,
yeah, he's gone. That wasn't a democratic process. It was a mob process through, so-called Maidan revolt.